tere nüüd juba õhtust.
Good evening, dear guests, dear attendees. My name is Jaanika Puusalu, and I am the editor-in-chief of the Civil Protection research journal Turvalisuskompass, Safety Compass. And I am glad to talk about the first volume of the journal that was issued last summer. This is the first special volume of the journal, and it's dedicated specifically to civil protection. As editor-in-chief, I was supported by a number of guest writers, including some alumni from this academy. I would like to briefly say that if you have never come across our journal, or if you have not read it, this is a journal that is issued since 2021, twice a year, and we aim to bring together texts related to civil protection and internal security, and our important aim is to make sure that this is available in Estonian language. The fourth volume issued this summer was dedicated to civil protection, and it has 6 original papers plus Ivo Juurvee's text about civil protection in Ukraine and the first learning moments. So if you haven't read this text in another language yet, you can also read that. But today I did not want to talk about other people's research work, but rather to give chance to our 6 authors to talk about their main findings and the key messages they shared. So please join me on the stage. There will be either 1 or 2 co-authors per each article. We will start with Esta Kaal and Terje Lilla. Thank you for giving us the floor. Good evening. We will try to use our 3 minutes as efficiently as possible. Indeed, crisis preparedness of local governments is measured with an index, and this has been done so since 2020, since the 1st of January. By this moment, our local municipalities had fulfilled crisis regulations resulting from the Emergency Act for 2 years. We were standing behind them as monitoring partners, counselors, advisors and trainers. In 2018 and 2019, we assessed crisis preparedness in using 4 groups of criteria, and we had 19 indicators in total, which we chose based on the Emergency Act. We were in a position where we needed more information about how our local governments approached crises and what the main issues were. I represent the University of Tallinn, and I am in charge of methodology. And here are my comments. The aim of evaluating this model was not just to give it a rating, but rather to create a support point in order to for everyone to get over the weaknesses. For this, we worked with local governments, the rescue boards, representatives, and specialists in the sector, all the way until the Vice Chancellor. The platform where we plan to use this model was called minuomavalitsus.ee website, which included all the models of assessing different tools for local governments. Work started in 2020 and lasted for a year and a half, which is quite a short time for a development project, considering that it also included mapping of the situation with new indexes. So the index was expanded from document revision to topics that required interviews, and these would be done by representatives of local governments themselves. This was in order to promote dialogue between these parties and to get an understanding of the real situation. So methodologically, it has a specific name. I'd like to give my thanks to everyone who was part of this. We had 90 people from local governments who answered this survey. There were 55 indicators in the survey, which were divided into 4 different groups of criteria. And if you look at the blue columns, you can see that some are a bit behind compared to others. And now I'll pass back to Terje. As rescue board, we were given a very good toolbox. Based on the results, we planned and have been planning future actions for the coming years, 2022 and 23. The weakest element was risk communication management. Local governments did not know what risk communication was all about. So we planned a number of regional trainings on that. We were lucky to also receive funding in the amount of 2.88 million. This was precisely what was needed in order to ensure continuity in subdivisions and at crisis group gathering points. Generators and alternative connections were required, and for this 2.8 million we were able to have an application stage. All participating local governments took part, in application for funding, and we were able to support all of them. This local government index has now been implemented, and the risk communication level has increased from 4 to 6. This shows that trainings have been fruitful and that risk management criteria where there was not enough continuity has also improved. So financial support from the state has been fruitful. Therefore, we can say that our toolbox has been useful, and we have been able to plan our activities very successfully. Thank you. Now, Jaako Vernik and Raul Savimaa will talk about the next article. Good afternoon. I'm one of the organizers of the exercise, Jaako Vernik. And we came up with the idea of doing some research. Actually, it was Raul's idea. Thank you, Raul. So let's talk about the exercise we had at the beginning of the year. At the end of last year, a lot of people were buying generators because of the difficult situation we were facing, and there was a high threat of power cuts. But we have a great crisis preparation platform. So we worked for a couple of months, and we would like to give our thanks to local governments. We could not expect such high levels of participation. In the end, we had over 900 people working together. We worked on desynchronization. In this paper, it was mostly Raul who carried out the analysis. We looked at the importance of preparation phase in the event of a crisis, and we realized that if you have not prepared, a crisis situation can get worse and worse as time goes on. We also looked at the local government's resilience to long-term power cuts, and also how local governments assess their own preparedness at the end of the training. The results were overall positive, but if an exercise is positive, we should not fall into the false sense of security. We need to keep working hard. Then again, overall, we can say that regions are coping well, yet some nuances should be even better clarified. Some municipalities said that they were able to have an overview of the situation of what is going on, but that in practice all of this would be much harder than in an exercise. Our proposals are in general that participants, in conclusion, we can say that participants found this exercise to be timely and relevant. When this exercise was happening, we were already in a situation where this scenario did not seem unlikely. However, no situation of training is useless. And I would say that all the local governments evaluated their preparedness for crisis adequately. If Raul would like to add something, I'd like to give him the floor too. Thank you. Indeed, the aim of the paper was to take an external view of how such large-scale exercise would go ahead. That includes all local governments. The aim was to keep local governments up to date with crisis regulation, and also about ensuring continuity. We also looked at the role of community groups. These are the kinds of groups that gather people and offer joint activities. It could be at the city, town level, neighborhood level, and we haven't done a lot of research on these groups so far. Could they help prepare a community for a crisis? Well, in this study, we looked at the results of a survey. We sent out the invitation to take part in a questionnaire through 2 different local governments. We had a bit more than 100 community groups that answered the questionnaire, and overall we can say that since these groups operate in their own communities, they know very well what the physical situation is in the area. They have not focused on the mapping of threats and risk analysis. The organization can be used very well for engaging local communities in crisis preparation, and about half of the groups were happy to support communities in situation of crisis. Preparedness was already there for about 1/4. Since NGOs can also now apply for funding to improve their crisis preparedness, then perhaps in a year or 2 the crisis preparedness of community groups will be much higher. But this was a good baseline to understand how these groups felt, and there have already been some further studies of crisis preparedness in some local governments. The third article focused on mass evacuation in Baltic states. I was a co-author here, joining Algo Rämmer, and this paper was put together using available data from other Baltics research institutions, and it focused on the comparison of civil protection in different Baltic states. We are geographically similar. We see the world in a similar way, and as we've seen from the war in Ukraine, there is still a long way that we need to go. But you can read more about that in the article. And finally, we have Jan Tross here presenting the last 2 papers. Thank you. I've written 2 papers for the journal. The first one is about the development of civil protection in Estonia in the past 30 years. And I've divided this into 3 periods. The first one is the transition period, or the era of search, conceptual choices. The second one was the most difficult one, where we lost the sense of threat altogether, and this hurt the state concept of threat preparation. And the focus was on internal non-military crisis. And the last 10 years is the new era of civil protection. It has taken us some time to carry or to implement these changes that have been proposed. I've also added some conclusions of this paper here. We haven't made substantial mistakes. We have been rational, we've followed risk analysis, security threat assessments, the society's attitudes. So I don't think we need to I think we need to go in the same direction. And now that we are in a crisis, we are in a good place to carry out changes. This funding that we have for civil protection now is not there forever. Let us use this time and make the necessary changes. But if you want to know more, please do read from the journal. And just a few words about the other paper. So this is about terminology, the difference between civil protection and civil security. Here we look at the period from the First World War, civil protection. We look at the Cold War period and modern civil protection, and there is also a comparison with the experience from the US, the UK and Nordic countries. And there is also mention of the development of civil protection in European Union and NATO. But again, if you want to know more, please read the journal. Enjoy. I would like to thank everyone for your attention, and I hope that you will find our journal online or pick it up from the room today. If you would like to publish your paper at a journal, please do contact us. Where can you get this journal if we don't have it yet? You can ask it from me.